Shalom, family. Hey, just wanted to give y'all a little bit of insight that the Most High been breaking down. So, of course, we're yesterday we did a message on what the Most High gave us a message to talk about walking on water, right? Literally the idea of authority over the marine kingdom, right? But there's some information that I wanted to kind of clarify and go in a little bit more detail. Again, it's not going to be a long video, just going to give y'all some insight on how ultimately Christianity is pagan in its roots and its nature, right? And I know a lot of y'all that are familiar with this channel have heard me say that, but for those of y'all who are new to the channel, I'm going to say it again. Christianity is pagan and it's demonic, right? They don't follow the Hamashiach. They don't follow the Messiah. They don't follow who you know is Christ or the anointed one. They don't follow him, right? They don't follow the Messiah. They follow paganism, right? Now, one, I guess you could say, instance or one item of proof or one I guess you could say theory, which is really not a theory because it's facts behind it that I'm gonna read to you and I'm gonna prove it based off of information that's just been out here according to encyclopedia and other valuable resources, right? Credible historic resources, right? That ultimately Christianity, right? If you look at it, they have a symbol as the fish. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna show this to you since I got the computer pulled up. One of their main symbols is a fish, right? Forgive me for the camera. Here we go. So if you type in fish Christian symbol, right? I'm gonna show you. This is what comes up. Right? You see that? That's the Christian symbol for fish, right? And I'll read this to you. It says Ithacus, right? Also, ethic with lunate sigma is an acronym or acrostic for Isus Christos, right? Now I already explained to you that Isus, right? That goes back to Yeso, right? Because remember, there were no letter J's going back before 1500. Were no letter J's, so that name Jesus goes back to Jesus, right? Which is the male form of the feminine deity Yeso, which was a Greek goddess of healing, a demon, right? A pagan god, right? So anytime you use that name, ultimately that's who you're referencing and that's who you're speaking to. But I wanted to show you this Christian symbol, right? They get that and they say that it's a fish, right? Now look, I've heard people say this in Christianity. Yeah, it represents fishers of men, right? No, this goes back to the pagan, Philistine, Canaanite, and ultimately ancient Babylonian deity Dagon, right? Or Dagon, right? Which ultimately is another form of dragon or the Leviathan, which is ultimately Hasatan, Satan, right? Now, I'm gonna show y'all something. I'm show y'all something else, right? If you know anything about the Catholic Church, right, which ultimately is the actual branch of Christianity that started all other churches, including Protestants as well. It all goes back to Catholicism, the Catholic Church, the papacy. You can research this stuff on your own. Again, I don't have to sit here and prove that. That's not the point of this documentary. You can go back and see any of our other videos. We explain that thoroughly. And if you do any of your own research, you will see that all Christianity goes back to Catholicism, the Catholic Church, right? But understand this. The Catholic priests actually wear a matier, right? That is in the form of the ancient pagan, Canaanite, Philistine, and ultimately the ancient Babylonian god Dagon. Now I want to read something to you real quick, right? Dagon is where the word dragon came from, right? And this is from sabbathcovenant.com, right? And there are other websites that show this as well, Encyclopedia Britannica and other websites that will go into detail about this. But let me just read this. It says, Dagon is where the word dragon came from. When a nation conquered another nation, they would take their gods and incorporate them into their belief system, right? Semiramis, The queen of Babylon became Isis, who became Ishtar/Easter, who became Venus, who became Aphrodite, and finally Mary. In the same way, Nimrod, king of Babylon, became Dagon became the sea serpent, then the dragon, then Neptune, then Poseidon, then Zeus, and finally Satan. The reason Neptune carried out the trident is the same reason you see Satan with the pitchfork, right? The trident was the article from the quote-unquote Jewish tabernacle turning the sacrifice. Now, again, we know that's Hebrew, but anyway, some of these websites, they still use weird terminology, right? So look, the association to the goat is also in scripture as well as in satanic worship, right? So that's why that term, the goat, the greatest of all time, right? Yehoshua will do what? Separate the sheep from the goats. Goats go back to worshiping Hasatan. And again, it's deep. Now, obviously, the goat is a clean animal, so if you're eating goat, there's nothing wrong with that. It is a clean animal. It's different than eating pigs or snakes or something that's clearly an abomination according to Leviticus 11. So I'm going to make that clear. But goats in general, the idea of goat worship, right, is demonic. Now, what does this have to do with Dagon and the fish? I'm going to keep reading. It says, look, and the associate to the goat also in scripture is satanic worship. Is satanic in worship. The goat fish Capricorn was also a direct association to Hasatan, as well as Hydra, the scepter, the sea monster, and the serpent. As demonstrated in the book of this series, The Mystery Religion of Babylon, Nimrod was the first false messiah ruling over the first attempt at a world government. Beginning with Nimrod in Babylon, which you read about in Genesis chapter 11, right? In Babylon, mankind began to worship Leviathan, the sea serpent. They call it Dagon, later known as what? The dragon. And I said this in my video yesterday, but if you research the word Vatican, the Vatican, you research it in its various different languages, specifically going back to Latin, which, that's what they speak over there. It literally means the place of the dragon, the place where the dragon dwells, right? Now, watch this. I want to show you this. Look at this. This dragon in the sea, or dragon, the fish god, is the fish god called Leviathan in scripture. It was worshipped by those in ancient Babylon and associated with Nimrod, the first high priest Dagon. Worship of Dagon was passed down after Yahuwah confused the languages, right? And you read about that again in Genesis chapter 11, right? And scattered humanity across the globe. It was this religion that was prevalent and continued at the time Rome destroyed Jerusalem. It was this religion of Dagon that permitted the high priestly ranks of paganism. And it was the foundation of the Christian church, which even today continues to wear the priestly garments of Dagon. Now, you want to see the similarity? I'm going to show you 3 different time periods, starting with ancient Babylon, then going to the time period of the Canaanites and the Philistines, like what they would wear, their priests would wear, going all the way up until now, the Catholic priests. And you're going to see the similarity. Watch this. You see that? This right here is Babylon, right? This is how the Babylonian priests would wear with their hats and their symbols, and you see the cup of abominations in their hands and all that, right? Boom. Then after that time period, and again, you see that's the cross as well, which is demonic. It goes back to the cross of Tammuz. Again, nothing to do with Hamashiach, nothing to do with the Messiah, right? Then this next time period, you see, obviously, this is a fish, but this goes back to the Canaanites, the Assyrians, the Philistines. This is the type of attire that their priests would wear. And finally, all the way to the right, boom. Your Catholic Pope, your Catholic Bishop. This is the material he wears on his head. You see the similarity between this, going all the way back to ancient Babylon? Facts. Can't make this type of stuff up, y'all. So again, when I say Christianity is pagan and Babylonian in nature and demonic, it's because they literally worship the dragon. They worship Hasatan. They worship the Leviathan, Dagon, the Elohim of the Philistines. You can read about that all in 1 Samuel chapter, I believe, 5 and 6. In Judges, you can see, I believe it's chapter 16, when Samson ends up killing all those people in the temple of Dagon, right after Delilah deceives him and cuts off his hair, and that whole story. These are facts, people. Christianity is demonic. So I just wanted to put that out there. Do not be deceived. Do not be misled. Any type of graven image that you're worshiping, it is demonic and it's serpent in nature. So had to put that out there for y'all. Again, don't just take my word. Do your own research and study on these things to see if they be so. Don't never take nobody's word. Always do your own research. But obviously be led of the Ruach when you do it. So just wanted to put that out there for y'all. Christianity is pagan, demonic. Goes back to the worshiping of the dragon. So just wanted to put that out there for y'all. Shalom.